Hi everyone, welcome to MPod, the podcast series brought to you by Mehta Equities Ltd. This is Prashanth Tapse, a senior vice president at Mehta Equities Ltd, looking at research. In each episode, we try to invite the industry experts from the capital markets and try to get their insights about the industry as well as the markets and some kind of the global markets update, whatever the experts are going to update us. Today, the special episode, we are excited to invite Mr. Rahul Singh, the young and dynamic CIO of Tata Mutual Fund, looks after equities. Mr. Singh has more than 25 years of experience in the fund management and as well as a strong research background in the history of his career. And he is also the alumni of IIM Lucknow and a mechanical engineer from IIT Bombay. So, welcome you, sir, for this podcast series. Before I start this wonderful episode with Rahul Singh, I remember the quote of Warren Buffett, which suits at this point of time, which says, if you mix politics with the investment decision, you always go wrong. So, I think last 1 month we have seen two big events. One was budget and the recent one, and the last was the election day. Markets reacted very sharply and then again neutralized very immediately. So I think Warren Buffett quote suits well at this point of time, because we should not mix political with your investment decision, because it's a long-term story and all. Again, uh, just to start again, I would like to know your upbringing in this world of capital markets and your education and all, just to start the pace of the episode.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, first of all, and very good welcome and very good. Hope all the best wishes for your audience. But as far as my upbringing is concerned, most of my schooling has happened in Bhilai. It's a steel town. अगर आप जानते हैं तो सेल की जो 5 स्टील टाउन्स थी,
Yes.
उनमें से एक स्टील टाउन भिलाई थी और वहाँ पे मोस्टली मेरी सारी स्कूलिंग वहीं पे हुई. माय फादर वाज एम्प्लॉय ऑफ वन ऑफ द सेल सब्सिडरीज.
Okay.
सो वहाँ पे जनरली सारे साइंसेज और मेडिकल, दैट वाज द मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव कि आपकी जो सारी जो फोकस रहती है वो इंजीनियरिंग एंट्रेंस में to get into a good engineering college or a good medical college. तो हमारी जो अपब्रिंगिंग है वो मतलब काफ़ी छोटे टाउन तो नहीं बोलूँगा, लेकिन एक अच्छे टाउनशिप में हुई. जहाँ की कॉलोनीज और काफ़ी स्ट्रक्चर्ड तरीके से पढ़ाई और लाइफ होती थी. तो शायद उसी का असर काफ़ी दिन आगे तक भी रहा है हमारी लाइफ में. सो इस टाइप से मतलब हमारी अपब्रिंगिंग हुई है.
So, being a mechanical engineer again and now into fund management and also, how this match happened?
So, engineering is, as I said, was the first choice if you are from a steel town, and I actually liked sciences, which is physics, chemistry, math, and that naturally led to engineering because उस समय options भी कम होते थे. And that once I went into engineering, I realized that I've got a good all-round knowledge. I've got a good peer set because होता क्या है कि इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में स्पेशली अगर आप आईआईटी में हो तो आपकी पेयर सेट काफ़ी स्ट्रांग होती है.
Yes.
तो आपको एक अलग टाइप का एडवांटेज मिलता है. उसके बाद मैंने रियलाइज़ किया कि आई डिड नॉट वांट टू डू फर्दर रिसर्च इन इंजीनियरिंग एंड लिटिल बिट of I would say by process of elimination ये डिसाइड किया कि either I take a job which I was getting in a software company, in a programming company, because उस समय सॉफ्टवेयर बूम जो है जस्ट शुरू हो रहा था.
Yes.
If you recall, early
Yeah.
90s, mid
90s,
90s.
yeah.
So either I take up a job there or I try something new, which was more exciting in terms of doing an MBA.
Yeah.
Because that opened up more possibilities for jobs and opportunities. And frankly, programming या coding मुझे I did not enjoy much. So therefore, that became a natural choice for me to do an MBA. And then from there on, I got interested in finance, and then my first job and so on. was in finance, in
So you were
research.
in a broking firm as a research
My
analyst.
first job was in CRISIL, which is a debt research, which is a debt rating firm. That time, that was also a very small company, and from there I moved to equity research, and I did equity research for 15 years, and then from there I moved to the asset management side.
So just on a curiosity, which was the first company you invested? If you want to name it all, or any SIP you started, at what age and when?
Oh, the investment started very early, almost in my first job. Typically, you start with an insurance policy at that point of time. It used
Yes,
to through the
the ULIP kind of
savings
notes.
ULIP kind of products, but very soon we went into mutual funds and so on. I can't name the company,
Yeah.
but the first couple of investments were in one was the large private sector bank at that time. Then there was the largest telecom company, which is now the largest telecom company, listed telecom company, and also one very good auto company, which later on went on to become a very good motorcycle company. So these were my 2 3 initial investments, my first investments.
Okay. Sir, just to take it forward, what is a unique leadership policy or a practice you have adopted uh, the time you are into the fund management?
See, fund management is, while there are processes, it's also driven by a little bit of individual styles and risk taking capabilities. So while we lay out the process in place, we also have to give some amount of freedom to the fund manager. But at the same time, and also if you don't give freedom, you can't hold them accountable.
Right.
Uh, so, um, so therefore, my belief has been that if you want accountability, you also have to delegate. You also have to give the power to your subordinates, and not really, constrain them or control them so much that you can't hold them accountable. Also, so
Right.
accountability and delegation and power goes hand in hand.
So, any unconventional strategy or a idea which you have adopted in your 25 years of career, which went superb, and it was a good way to look at this industry.
So when I was doing equity research in my early days, obviously I made my own mistakes, which was that in the dot-com boom, you typically end up recommending some stocks or some companies which were trading at 50 times, 60 times, which additionally traditionally was a commodity company. And when the dot-com boom bust
Bust.
happened, then you realize that you made a mistake by recommending a company because of those 2 3 period of high growth, essentially a commodity company which would have come down later on. So that was one kind of realization which came very early to me, because as soon as I joined equity research as an industry, we were at the peak of the dot-com bubble, and then from there on things went a little south. So that was a very good learning. The second thing is that the other thing is to be little contrarian. It helps अगर आप contrarian थोड़ा contra view लेते हैं किसी भी stock या किसी भी sector पे, and if you are confident and if you hold on for 2 3 years, it gives you very good
Right.
dividends. Of course, जब हम लोग portfolio manage करते हैं तो we keep a good mix of steady compounding kind of companies and turnaround companies or contra companies. So वो हमें balance maintain करना पड़ता है. But that is something which I also realized very early in my in my job or in my investing career.
So, just to touch on the cultural changes or a difference between Indian mutual fund industry or a global mutual fund industry. So, what is the cultural difference which you are looking at?
सी कल्चरल डिफरेंस तो ऐसे कुछ नहीं है, बट आई थिंक मार्केट इन इंडिया इज़ वेरी ब्रॉड. बहुत सेक्टर्स हैं और बहुत आई वुड से बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं. सो वेर इज इन अब्रॉड यू आर लुकिंग एट मार्केट्स विच हैव बिकम वेरी नैरो. मतलब वो कुछ कंपनीज जो है, बड़ी कंपनीज बड़ी होती जा रही हैं, और छोटी कंपनीज में उतना पोटेंशियल नहीं दिखता है जितना कि हमें यहाँ दिखता है. तो एक डिफरेंस ये है कि हमें काफ़ी अलर्ट और काफ़ी हमारा जो दायरा है इन्वेस्टमेंट का, वी हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ लॉट ऑफ opportunities. Dusra, the cultural difference which I am seeing is that abroad, if you look at passives have become very big part of
Very big part, yes.
maybe 60-70% of net inflows में देख रहा था एक डेटा. इंडिया में अभी शायद थोड़ा टाइम है बिकॉज जब तक इकॉनमी हाई ग्रोथ फेज से गुजर रही है अल्फा क्रिएट करना फिर भी आसान है इन मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप स्पेशली एंड समटाइम्स इन लार्ज कैप ऑल्सो बट एज वी मेच्योर जैसे जैसे हम मेच्योर होंगे हो सकता है पैसिव हम भी उस तरफ जाएं लेकिन अभी फिलहाल ये एक बड़ा कल्चरल डिफरेंस मुझे लगता है अभी भी है हमारे मार्केट्स और बाहर के मार्केट्स में.
So as on date, I think the Indian mutual fund industry is almost 60 lakh crore. So AMFI report says we are going to touch 100 lakh crore in next 5-6 years. So how will that happen? मतलब what are the drivers which will take us to those levels? अभी तो retail participant आ ही रहा है 20-21,000 crores every month. Will that be again the main driver to get into 100 lakh crore?
Yeah, I mean, without talking about numbers, the AUM will grow with two reasons. One is कि जो mark to market जो आपकी समझिए आपको 25-30% CAGR मिला है हो सकता है इतना रिपीट ना हो मतलब शायद नहीं हो या ना होना भी चाहिए लेकिन अगर हम 10 से 15% भी ग्रो करें इक्विटी पोर्शन और डेट 6-8% भी ग्रो करें तो ओवरऑल एवरेज जो AUM है 60 लाख करोड़ वो 8-9-10% तो ग्रो कर सकता है तो उससे ही कुछ तो ग्रोथ आएगी जो अभी एग्जिस्टिंग है. दूसरे हम अभी भी देख रहे हैं कि पेनिट्रेशन अभी भी लो है और हम देख रहे हैं कि अभी भी when I go and meet distributors there is still lot of market share or penetration left and this is true for big cities also. This is true when I speak जब मैं अपने सर्कल में भी अपने फ्रेंड्स या अपने पेरेंट्स के फ्रेंड से बात करता हूँ तो अभी मुझे लगता है कि अंडर इन्वेस्टेड हैं लोग तो वही जो है वो धीरे धीरे मार्केट में आ रहा है SIP के जरिए.
So the way how savings are getting into investments, so this will be the one driver, but the banking industry where saving is a big part of low cost borrowing for them, that is getting affected. So कैसे सेक्टर वो मैच हो पाएगा?
देखिए जब तक हमारी इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ नॉमिनल GDP ग्रोथ 11-12% होती है तब तक ये लगता है मुझे चैलेंज जो है ये टेम्परेरी है.
Okay.
और क्योंकि क्रेडिट ग्रोथ जो है मार्केट में वो भी डिमांड अभी डिमांड कुछ खास करके ज़्यादा है और शायद अगले साल और भी ज़्यादा हो क्रेडिट ग्रोथ की डिमांड तो आपको ये बीच में आपको लग रहा है प्रेशर है क्योंकि डिपॉजिट ग्रोथ नहीं हो रही है और क्रेडिट ग्रोथ ज़्यादा है लेकिन वो बैलेंस आउट हो जाता है किसी भी इकॉनमी में ये काफ़ी दिन तक ये चीज़ें नहीं रह पाती हैं.
So in India, what are the emerging trends you're looking with respect to sectors or anything else on that?
So clearly, manufacturing is one sector which is seeing a lot of interest, a lot of revival, and a lot of demand revival. One is the stocks moving up. But actually, when we speak to companies, they are finding more acceptance of their products in the export markets. So there is a genuine kind of progress. There is a genuine potential for manufacturing to do well. Of course, valuations have also gone up. The other sector which I am very positive on is is pharma and healthcare because our country while consumption is always an ongoing story and that continues to remain but pharma and healthcare is also going to be a good 5 to 10 year kind of theme because as we grow old as the country grows old as around 400-450 million people will be around the age of 60 by 2030 there will be more spending on healthcare and pharma. Right. And that is also a good industry or good sector where I think things are looking good. Also on the global side, we continue to do well in exports for pharma, where 2015 to 23 थोड़ा सा स्लो डाउन था या प्राइसिंग काफ़ी गिर रही थी ड्रग्स की जेनरिक ड्रग्स की अब वो भी थोड़ा नॉर्मलाइज हो रहा है. So you have domestic growth, you have normalization of export pricing declines. Both together makes the next 3 to 5 years also very interesting.
So what about this energy as a sector? Everybody is talking this will be the next.
Yes, energy also. There are a lot of moving parts. Energy, so there is coal, there is oil and gas, and there is the renewable energy. Now the world has realized, and India has also realized कि केवल renewable से हम प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं कर
नहीं हो
सकते हैं.
पाएगा,
सो वी
राइट.
नीड कोल, oil and gas, you need traditional forms of energy, fossil fuels, as well as you need renewable energy. और ये सबको मैनेज करने के लिए हमें ट्रांसमिशन नेटवर्क्स वगैरह भी अपग्रेड करने पड़ेंगे. तो देर आर अपॉर्चुनिटीज फ्रॉम both sides, on renewable side and on the fossil fuel side, the traditional fuel side. And then there are equipment manufacturers of that. Then there are financing companies. Then there are transmission capex. And there are companies which are doing transmission. So पूरा एक ecosystem है energy
Right,
का,
right.
which is looking extremely good.
So, comment on again new age sector, new age companies, the digital world.
Yeah, new age companies, they had a boom in 2021. उसके बाद फिर थोड़ा सा क्या बोलते हैं वो दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो गया.
Yeah.
Now we are looking at a scenario where when we are investing, we look at companies on a standalone basis. And if the company's business model is now corrected and now delivering, then we look at it more favorably. But if the company, gone are the days when just because they are new age, they could get any valuation. That period is over.
That is gone.
That period is gone. Now it is more stock specific based on the fundamentals.
Yes, right. So recently, Tata AMC has launched the tourism sector fund.
Right.
So what is your take on that?
Yeah, tourism is a nice narrow kind of a segment because we all know that tourism is picking up domestically, abroad, etc. And Indians are traveling much and much more. First within India and then outside India. So when we designed the tourism index, the idea was to capture this, and it has airline companies, hotel companies, luggage companies, QSR companies. So it's a good portfolio, and it's a very niche segment, but I think it's a structural segment for the next 5-10 years.
Okay, so this was a very untouched
Yeah,
sector for any mutual fund to track this.
correct.
So I
Correct.
think you have tapped it in the right
Correct.
time.
Correct. Our approach in passive has been to try and do things which are a little non-conventional,
Yeah.
not do the traditional Nifty 50. So we are either doing the factor-based, जो momentum या alpha वाले जो products होते हैं, or this thematic products.
Okay.
In fact, 2-3 months back, we also had 6 thematic funds in different sectors, in addition to tourism, which we launched.
In many of your articles, I have seen this 40, 40, and 20 allocation strategies. So just give us an idea what is that and how should we use that?
Yeah, that is for an average investor because right now what is happening is because there is so much of excitement in equities that काफी लोगों की portfolios have become very very favorable to equities. कहीं कहीं पे 100% equity है, कहीं 80-90% equity.
Right.
So this 40-40-20 is trying to normalize that and say that okay आपका 40% जो है allocation वो BAF और multi asset में होना चाहिए because that उससे आपको debt की stability मिल जाती है और any volatility in equity valuations, we will take advantage of that in BAF and MAF. The next 40% should be in diversified category, whether it's large and mid cap. Today, I think large caps are better valued. So large and mid cap and maybe a business cycle fund, which is an aggressive fund. The last 20% category should be for the risk taking part, where you can get into thematic funds like a small cap fund or a banking fund or a pharma fund. These are my favorite funds. So banking, pharma and small cap is a good combination there right now at these valuations. So this 40-40-20 is a good framework to have for people to manage their asset allocation. At the same time keep taking risk. मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि आप बिल्कुल ही मतलब इक्विटी से रिस्क मत लीजिए क्योंकि इक्विटीज इज अ हायर रिस्क कैटेगरी. सो वहाँ पे आप रिस्क लेंगे तो आपको ज़्यादा रिटर्न मिलता है.
Right.
लेकिन आप उस किसी प्रपोर्शन में उसको रिस्क लीजिए.
Right.
ये ना हो कि 80% आपका थीमेटिक और स्मॉल कैप में हो जाए, विच इज the risk which today I see sometimes people falling for.
So just talking about the budget again. So what is your comment post budget? How should we as an investor look at this? Is it a short term impacting any changes in the budget or a long term? How do you rate this budget right now?
See, this budget was a neutral event in that sense. I thought it was a balanced budget because after elections or pre-elections, people were expecting that if there is a huge majority, then the allocation to defense, power, infrastructure will go up. and there will be no populism or welfareism, etc. But they did not do that, because obviously after the election results, I think they have not increased the capital allocation to infrastructure spending or capital
Yeah.
spending, और ना ही उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा populist measures ऐसा कुछ किया है. So in fact, they have the single biggest thing they have done is to reduce the fiscal
Physical
deficit,
deficit, yes.
which is very important, because once you've got that into control, आपकी रुपी स्टेबल हो जाती है, आपकी करें आपकी जो फ्लोज जो हैं वो स्टेबल हो जाते हैं. एंड बिकॉज इमर्जिंग मार्केट बॉन्ड इंक्लूजन भी हो रहा है, हमारा हो गया है. सो देयर फोर इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू मेंटेन द मैक्रो पैरामीटर्स. सो आई थिंक द गवर्नमेंट डिड नॉट गो वन वे और द अदर, कि बहुत इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की तरफ चले गए या बहुत वेलफेयर या पॉपुलिज्म की तरफ चले गए. उन्होंने बीच में अपना एक रास्ता पकड़ा. एंड मार्केट देयर फोर ऑल्सो इज बिकमिंग मोर बैलेंस्ड. आप देख रहे होंगे कि the other sectors like consumer IT are also doing now well as compared to power, defense or capital goods.
थोड़ा डर था बजट में कि वो जो लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स, शॉर्ट टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्स जो इंट्रोड्यूस किया है, बट वो डर इमीडिएटली एक दिन में न्यूट्रलाइज हो गया. सो हाउ डू यू टेक दिस? मतलब डर तो था ही कि कुछ ना कुछ तो ट्वीक करेंगे, बट सडनली होने के बाद भी मार्केट्स रिएक्टेड एंड वी आर एट ऑल टाइम हाई.
नहीं, सही बात है. आई थिंक 10 to 12.5 also was a negative in that sense, but ultimately आप वो गेन्स पे ही दे रहे हो ना, तो so therefore it is markets get used to it. 0 to 10 was also a shock when it happened, but then markets got used to it. So
बट
therefore
ग्लोबली मैंने ये देखा है सर, दिस टैक्स आर स्टिल लो. मतलब लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स 12.5 is still low in the
in
emerging
the
markets.
overall context,
Yes.
yeah. So let's see
वो
what
देख के हम
happens.
लोग फिर पॉजिटिव होना ही पड़ेगा मार्केट्स के
हाँ,
अंदर.
वो हो सकता है ऐसा हुआ है, या फिर अल्टीमेटली आज के दिन में अगर मैं देखूं तो कंपैरिजन इज डेट. डेट के साथ टैक्सेशन गैप तो कम हुआ है, स्पेशली लॉन्ग टर्म में, लेकिन स्टिल द गैप इज देयर. सो देयरफॉर द सेविंग्स का जो मेन फ्लो है, दैट इज स्टिल गोइंग थ्रू इक्विटीज ओनली.
So one point which is negative in this budget.
One point which is negative in this budget would be that I would have expected a little bit more spending towards rural incomes and so on, because sometimes we feel when we look at the result of the company, so the rural economy is not doing well. It's a very general term, because her state different, every state also has different issues. But there was a little bit of expectation that that needs support. So I would say it's not a negative, because उसके positives भी हैं कि आपने fiscal deficit कम कर दिया.
Yes.
So every negative in budget will have a positive, every positive will have a negative. So fiscal deficit कम हुआ इसलिए ये हुआ, अगर ये नहीं किया इसलिए fiscal deficit कम हुआ. So it's very difficult to say that it's a clear negative, because government also is going by a certain thought process.
Yes.
And their idea is that if we can create jobs, if we can get
So
manufacturing,
that's the plan for next 5
plan
years.
for next 5 years.
Yes.
They are not looking at next 1 year.
1 year, yes. The last question, again on the markets, we are almost all time high, 25,000 निफ्टी टच भी कर चुका है. तो अगर आज के तारीख में कोई यंग इन्वेस्टर्स पैसा डिप्लॉय करना चाहता है, तो व्हाट इज द रिस्क इन द मार्केट?
So the risk is that बहुत सारे जो थीमेटिक फंड्स हैं उसमें थोड़ा सा मुझे केयरफुल रहना. जैसे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की मैंने बात किया, कैपिटल गुड्स, ये सारे सेक्टर्स काफ़ी अच्छा परफॉर्म कर चुके हैं. तो माय एडवाइस वुड बी टू look at the main categories like large cap fund or large and mid cap. Today those categories are offering much better risk reward,
yes,
than thematic funds. And if you are a conservative investor, if you are a first time investor who is say 40-year-old or 45-year-old, तो आप BAF से शुरू कीजिए, BAF और multi asset से शुरू कीजिए. But if you are a young investor, then you should start with large cap, is what my advice would be.
Okay, sure. I think this session was really great, having Mr. Rahul Singh with us. He helped us to understand a lot of things with his career. Then the a fund which they have launched already, the tourism fund. Then about the global activities and the local activities, about the budget and everything. So I thank Mr. Rahul Singh and Tata AMC to give us this opportunity to spend some time with you and take your all the insights to our viewers and even the students which are watching us on the all the channels of social media. I think they will be very much enlightened and entertained with this podcast. Thank you, Rahulji, and thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Please read all scheme-related documents carefully.